So, you may not know, but the art of healing through creative self expression is so juicy, so tender, so energizing, so freeing. It deserves a moment of your time to hear more about. When I discovered the benefits of healing through creative self expression, I was blown away because I always felt that creating art, expressing yourself through drawing, maybe fiber arts or like crocheting and punch needle or whatever it may be that you may prefer doing creatively. I always thought that it was something that we did for our aesthetic needs, that it was something that we pursued so we could just have something pretty to look at, something something we made ourselves so we can be like, yes, I made this. But when I started to practice surface pattern design in 2020, I discovered a whole new world. Hello, my name is Tandy, and I am a multi-passionate maker slash surface pattern designer who is reimagining work and what it looks like for me. And today I'm going to be exploring why healing through creative expression, especially creating art pieces, something physical, something tangible, something digital even, especially through my medium of choice, surface pattern design, is so important for your mental health, for your personal growth, and why you might want to pick up the brush too. So in 2020, I think okay, before 2020, the way I healed, the way I processed things, processed what I was experiencing in the world was through like journaling, and it was through talking it out with people, and other ways of just, you know, processing the world. But when when I learned how to draw repeat patterns, which is what surface pattern design is, drawing repeat patterns, whether it's physically, digitally, and getting them printed on a surface of your choice. That's what surface pattern design is for those who don't know. And when I first started learning how to draw and create patterns, I was blown away, not just by the sheer fact that I could draw, but by the fact that I could create something beautiful, that I could create something with meaning, that I could create something that came from my soul, that wasn't processed through words, through like articulation itself or body language, but that was expressed through another part of me that was not something that I used regularly. It wasn't a muscle that I used ever or regularly at all. And what this did for me, it allowed me to pause for a second. I'm just shooting this raw with no script, just some bullet points. But it allowed me to learn about different sides of myself that I didn't know existed. It shone a light on on a particular skill set that I could develop that I never knew I could do, or I always thought was beyond me and out of my reach. And that all started off through curiosity and an interest in something, and following that curiosity led me to expressing things that I never thought I could express. For example, I created the pretty art, the ugly art, the disturbing art, which I felt like this is before I knew there was such thing as like shadowing and shadow. Is it shadow work? Shadow work, where basically shadow work, from my understanding, which is very like um not, I don't know a lot about, but it's kind of like when you work on the darker sides of your personality and character, and you come to face them, you learn to accept them, and you keep it moving, I believe. But when I first started to draw and just to draw what was coming out of my soul, which was a way to bypass my subconscious, not subconscious, it was a way to bypass my consciousness, man, because normally when we are conscious of what we're doing, we filter ourselves, we manage ourselves, we learn to say certain things and we learn to avoid saying certain things that we are always conscious of. So we kind of always we want to allow ourselves to be perceived in a certain way, so we act accordingly. But when you start to use mediums like drawing, and you draw, for example, what I used to do was I would get a blank piece of paper and I would just start drawing, just start making marks on the paper, and go from there and just tackle the blank piece of paper as it was. I didn't plan for it or anything like that. I would show up to the blank piece of paper and see what came out of me that day. And sometimes I would draw some really fantastic things. Sometimes, of course, not everything I drew was amazing. But it came from a deeper, like, part of me, like my subconscious level, my subconscious, and it was bypassing my conscious level and expressing things that I had no words to articulate. Sometimes there are things that we want to express or we can't express through verbal interaction or body language or whatever it is, but we have to if we use art or whatever craft you like, basically, to express ourselves, things come out of us that are buried deep within, and they allow us to see a part of ourselves that we don't normally doesn't normally get to see the light of day. So basically, this process started a healing journey in me that I never knew that I needed. And it showed me that not only did it heal that part of me that thought that I couldn't draw or that I didn't have the ability to do something, that limiting belief that, oh, I could not do this thing because my previous attempts at it were bad. I tried again, and my attempts at it turned out to be quite good, as I'll show you later in the video. By the way, I am doing 100-day challenge for these next 100 days, where I'm drawing a pattern a day to get back into surface pattern design. This is all linked together. So I thought I'll put that in there now so you know what's going on. And this is day one. So at the end of the video, I'll show you like the process of um me drawing the patterns that I drew for the day. And I'm going to tell you a little story about the pattern as well. So when I talk about healing through creatively expressing yourself, um, another part of that is, what can I say? Another part of that is being present. If you're not present, if you're not grounded in what's going on around you and you're not aware of with what's going on around you, you can only work with what's already within you, which is not bad. But when you're present, it allows you also to, like, so the brain obviously processes a lot of messages and information that it takes in, and the majority of that information never makes it to our conscious mind. It goes to our subconscious mind, right? That when you start to draw or when you start to create surface pattern designs or any art style that you prefer, you start to tap into that that back backlog of information that your brain was capturing. Things that you may not have consciously thought of come out unconsciously on the paper, and it helps you to just feel so free, so, like, unpressured, unbothered. Because what I experienced when I was in like a period of flow state when I first started to create surface pattern designs was a freedom of like thoughts. I wasn't so bogged down with negative thoughts. I wasn't so bogged down with overthinking, with self-sabotage, with things like that, because I was always drawing on paper. And what that also, the knock-on effect it had was that it allowed me to free myself from the negative thinking, and it allowed it kind of like it was like the grease that I needed in the wheels of my life to make my life more smoother, if that makes sense. Like I could start I was more active, I was more thirsty for things, I was more ambitious because I had the energy to be ambitious because my brain wasn't clogged up with negative self-talk, it wasn't clogged up with self-sabotage. I was because I was processing emotions that my subconscious buries, or that I don't have, that I may not give myself time to process on paper, on my digital tools like my iPad, on Procreate or Affinity Designer, some of the tools that I use to create surface pattern designs. And that was amazing. And I wanted to let you know that that can happen for you too. If you find yourself in a place where you are bogged down by negative self talk, you're bogged down by self sabotage, you're bogged down by just like feeling stuck in your life, like, and you want to get unstuck, but you don't know what to do, why don't you try creating repeat patterns? If repeat patterns don't work for you, pick up a pencil, start sketching, start making marks, start doodling, whatever it is. Start trying to express yourself in a creative way, whatever method you choose. It could be crochet, it could be anything. Start expressing yourself that way, and you will find yourself that the negative thoughts start to linger less. The self-sabotaging behaviors, just you just don't have time for them because so the way I can explain it is that if normally you don't have a way to, so if the brain is a pressure cooker and you the pressure is pressuring, no, I don't have to say the pressure is getting worse, that mean anyway. So imagine that you are your brain's a pressure cooker, but because you're constantly overthinking, self-sabotaging, you're constantly just doing things that are getting in your own way, that pressure keeps getting worse, right? But imagine creating creating things, anything, just using your creative muscles allows you to relieve that pressure. That's how I look at healing through self-expression, healing through creative self-expression in particular. It releases the pressure that's in your brain that maybe you've tried journaling, and journaling isn't for you because you're not consistent with it, or you are consistent with it but you don't find it's helping you. I don't know what your situation is. You know your situation, right? Try creating something that you will walk away with a tangible piece of work at the end of it, something that you work with your hands. You will find that the negative self talk, all of these things will start to diminish over time, and you will have a zest for life that you didn't have. Ideas will start flowing, confusion will leave you behind, and you will be in a space where you have clarity, where you can take the steps you need to improve your life. Because what is it that we're trying to do in life? It's just to enjoy a better life, and a better life can look like anything for me and you. So you have to decide whether you want to do this and try to do it and see the results for yourself, because I saw the results between 2020 and 2022. Life happened, which is why from 2022 to 2026 I didn't touch my creative self-expression a lot, and I saw a tangible impact that had on my life, where things were progressing and getting better and better, and I was having more clarity. And then life happened. I saw a steady decline in the forward momentum I was making in life, to the point where I'm now at a place where I'm just like, no, I've had enough with my own, like, negative self-talk. I've had enough of self-sabotaging myself. I need to change things, and that means I need to start creating again. That's where I am now, and that's where you find me today. But as I go through this 100-day challenge, hopefully you will see the impact it's making on my life and see if there's really proof in the pudding that I'm trying to sell you. For free, by the way. Not, I don't require any of your cash dollars today. So that's what I wanted to chat about today. Creative expression is one of those things that can really liberate you. It can really change your life, and it can manifest things in life that you never expected them to manifest if you stick with it, if you do it for a long period of time and you see the changes it brings your life. I want to know how many of you are going to give it a go. Leave a comment in the comment section, and I will see you later. Bye. And as promised, here is the work that I did earlier in the day. It was just inspired by the marigolds in the garden, and I had a really good time getting the ideas that were in my head onto paper or digital paper and just having a go at it. So, this is my first pattern back into surface pattern design, and this is how it turned out. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day.